All right, good morning. Happy Monday. I am so pumped. I am so excited and I am so pregnant. Okay, so we're just gonna just say all those things all at once. So if I sound like a little out of breath, I am 38 weeks pregnant. So let's just go with it. Okay. So I was thinking last night, I sent into the message into our team group and I just said, look, bring your new people on here this morning because what this is all about, what this has always been all about is vision, is where do we want to be? And the thought that always crosses my mind is nothing changes if nothing changes. And the only thing, and I'm going to repeat this again and again, the only thing that makes you successful is holding on to a vision. The minute your vision lapses, the minute that your vision kind of takes oh, I'm good where I am, the moment that you agree with where your life is now is the moment that you stop growing into your fullest potential or having the life that you want to have. If you believe that you have more potential to give, if you believe that you have more purpose, that you can make a bigger impact, if you believe that life could look so different for you, I want you to drop a one in the comments or a fire emoji in the comments and let me know that you are here today with me, knowing that you believe that there is something more for you. I started Plexus 10 years ago selling bread, cheese, soy-free, non-GMO chickens that I raised and killed by myself, friends. That's right. 100 birds at a time. Took me about 3 or 4 days, and I wouldn't eat chicken for 6 months. Um, and I sold grass-fed hogs, beef, and raw milk. I had a micro dairy. I was selling everything I could to bring in residual income, to bring in extra income, to provide more options for our family. My husband brought in a decent income. It was good, but he was gone probably 60 to 80 hours a week. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but it was exhausting. I had 4 little kids and I was exhausted. I wasn't getting any help. He was exhausted and it was just like we were always hitting that what now I know is the upper level limit. Anyone else felt like, wow, I'm doing all the things and nothing is really moving and changing? And I realized through Plexus that it wasn't because we weren't willing to work hard enough. It wasn't that we weren't good people. It's not that we weren't giving enough. It's not that we weren't trying our hardest. It was that we didn't have a clear vision of where we wanted to go. We didn't have a clear, solid vision together that was like, this is what we're doing. And when Plexus showed up on my doorstep after 18 months of someone messaging me, yes, I was that skeptical. I really thought I knew what I was doing. I was 33 years old and I was like, you couldn't tell me otherwise that I needed to do Plexus. I didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid. So I finally said yes. And then I returned it. Okay. I returned my products, didn't even try them. I think I said this pink drink's too sweet and I returned it. Then I decided in May of 2015 that I really needed something different for my health and that I also wanted to feel better. But I also watched my friend go from having her water cut off from rinsing her hair out in the shower. True story, her water got cut off because they couldn't afford the water bill. And she had to go over to her neighbors in a bathing suit and rinse it out with a hose. I watched her go from that to buying a new house, driving a Lexus car, and making what I considered drug dealer money. And I literally looked at her, was like, are you selling drugs? Like, I just need to know the truth. Like, what are you doing? She's like, no, I'm selling this paint drink. And she's been telling me for 18 months, you would be amazing at this. You could really do this. So I thought for one moment, it was a brief moment, and I thought, what if I could do it? What if I could do it? Because everything else in life is always, you shouldn't, you can't. It'll take too much time. It'll be too much work. You'll never make it, right? We always tell ourselves, why, what are the scary things that could happen? What is the risk here? And we weigh it out from that perspective. What could all go wrong? And for one brief moment, I thought, what if this went right? What would that provide for my family? And then as each step I took in Plexus, I had to ask myself that, what if this works? What if this works? So I got serious about sharing. I got serious about not falling off track. I got serious about really developing myself into somebody that people wanted to join. I got serious about developing myself into a leader that people felt confident following. I got serious very, very quickly, okay, about how I could be successful at this, because here were my options: do it or do it. Anyone tracking with me here? You're going to do it or you're going to do it. It's going to work or it's going to work. Those were my only options. I couldn't go get a job. I had 4 little kids. I love time freedom. I didn't want anyone else relying on me to show up on time or do the things. I didn't have any other backup plan. So when I just decided to go all in, it was a non-negotiable. You never heard me calling someone and saying, what should I do? What should I say? I just was doing all the things. So here's what I did from the very beginning. I was extremely coachable, to the extreme. If it was mentioned off the cuff, I was doing it. If it was suggested kind of, sort of, I was trying it. Because here's what I realized. If it doesn't work for me, I just won't do it again. If I don't like it, I just won't try it again. So I had an event. I invited people to it. I did a Zoom event. I invited people to it. I would post on social media. Back then, before influencers were a thing, you were posting on social media 4 to 5 times a day. All about Plexus. That was how we built on social media back then. Okay. So you're in a good time frame for doing Plexus, because we don't have to do that anymore to build. I was willing to do anything because I knew if nothing changed, nothing changed. Fear is such a real thing. And I was happily married, 4 kids, 33 years old. My youngest was 6 months at the time. And I was just driven. I was driven to make more income. What I didn't realize is how much that would benefit my family in a very short amount of time. So not long after that, my husband would suddenly pass away. So when he died, I had 4 kids under the age of 6. I'd been with Plexus for probably 8 to 9 months, something like that. I can never remember the exact time frame. Maybe it was even a year at that point. And I was so grateful because during that year, y'all, I was thinking about this the other day. He was home so much more than he'd ever been, because I was making enough with Plexus that he didn't have to, we ran our own construction company, that he didn't have to be in there all the time. So he was able to actually spend that last year, like quite a bit of time with us, which is priceless, which is absolutely priceless for my kids, right? And so when I started working after he passed away, and people would say to me, how are you still working? How are you still doing this? And I always think, how can you not be? Like, if I can do it with all this going on, how can you not be? And then 4 months after my husband died, my mom passed from pancreatic cancer. Best friend, talked every single day. Like, my mom and I were very, very, very close. Not long after that, my dad would pass from Alzheimer's. Early onset Alzheimer's. He was like 62. And my whole world was upside down. I was widowed and orphaned all in the same year, and absolutely wondering what is out there for me. I'm a normal person who grabbed a hold of a vision that nobody, that no circumstances, that no amount of risk, no amount of what if people don't like me anymore, no amount of any of that really got me down. I really decided that this is where I wanted to be. I wanted to earn more than I had ever earned before. I wanted to give more than I'd ever given before. But more importantly, and I want to talk just for a second to the people who are in survival mode, because that's where I started. And I want you to know that what feels overwhelming is the sense of survival mode. That is what keeps us feeling overwhelmed because I have more kids, I have more responsibility than I've ever had in my whole life, and I don't feel overwhelmed because I'm not in survival mode. Money is not everything, but it is a heck of a lot of things. It gives you options, it gives you opportunities, it gives you time back. And I want you for a minute to have a vision past just what today looks like. I want you to have a vision past just what 5 years looks like. What happens in 5 years if something changes for you and you wish you had the option to just be able to make that choice? I was asked the question, they said, what's the coolest part about all your success in network marketing? The coolest part for me is literally being able to make off the cuff decisions that cost a lot of money. Like we're taking our whole family to Canada in October. No big deal. I mean, you try flying 12 people to Canada, all the cost that incurs, right? Passports, flights, all the things. I don't have to say no to something that matters to me because of money. I can say yes to giving the football team $5,000 sponsorships. I can say yes to helping my kids, go to these sports camps that they want to go to. I can say yes to putting a pool in our yard, right? It gives you options. When I started, and I mean this with every bit of sincerity, it was difficult for me to say yes to purchasing $124 worth of Plexus products. I don't know if you can relate to that. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But where I started, my vision literally was I just want to get my products covered. I just don't want to have to pay $130 a month to stay on these products because I was huge into supplementation and natural food going in the body. We were hugely obsessed with healing my husband's body through all organic foods. We raised everything we ate. We weren't part-timers, we were full-timers. We were homesteading the homestead. We were grinding the wheat, we were milking the cows, we were making the cheese, we were making everything that we ate came off of our land. And we had 6 acres. Okay. So we had this small little plot of land and everything we did. It is a full-time job. I cared so much about what went into our bodies, and it was a full-time job. Plus being in survival mode of trying to make money, trying to stay afloat, and trying to say yes to building memories with your family still when you have a full-time functioning farm and a business is very difficult. It is very difficult. The further up the ladder with Plexus I went, meaning the more money I was making and the more lives I was impacting, I was able to hire people to help on the farm so that we could actually get away. I was able to hire people to help us with our pool so that we could actually enjoy our pool and not be like trying to figure out what's wrong with it all the time. I was able to hire out childcare help when I needed it, when I needed just 10 minutes by myself. Can I get an amen from a toddler mama up in here? Okay. I was able to afford to put my kids in a mom's day out program. I was able to afford private tutors for some of my kids that needed it. It gave me options. But I started literally panicked about spending $130 a month. If that is how you want to live, that is totally fine. But I knew deep down I didn't want to do that anymore. And nothing changes until something changes. And that something changes has to motivate you so deeply that you don't care what other people think, that you are so like, Alita, if you tell me to do it, I'm doing it like yesterday. Because success leaves clues. And I knew that if my friend was doing it, that I should be doing it. That if my upline, and that's what I meant by my friend, if my upline was doing it, then I wanted to be doing it. And I wanted to be doing it now because I wanted success and I wanted that income more than I cared about what other people were thinking or what other people were saying or what I thought other people were wanting from me. And I really started focusing on where I was going. So I made the decision to grab a hold of a vision. My vision was at first to get my products covered. And the next it was I wanted $1,000 a month to pay my mortgage. Back when, you remember when mortgages were $1,000 a month? Some of y'all are probably like, what? Um, I wanted enough to pay my mortgage. And then I wanted it all. When I hit that $1,000 mark, I was like, this ain't even scratching the surface. I want so much money that I could roll around in $100 bills if I want to. I want so much money that if I'm at a gas station and I see someone filling up ahead of me and I can tell that maybe they're a little struggling, I want to be able to walk over there and just pay for their gas and not think twice about it. I want to have enough money that when it's my best friend's birthdays, I can send them a gift without thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to have to keep this up now year after year. I want so much money that I can take my friends out and buy them a meal and them just be like, what? You don't have to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I want to. I wanted so much money that if at any time I wanted to go see my family in Canada, that I could. I wanted enough money that if my kids needed holistic health care, if I wanted holistic health care and the labs are $1,500, it's like, no problem. No problem. I wanted enough money during this season of my life to put my kids in private school. I had all 4 kids in private school and I paid for their tuition up front for the entire year as a single widowed mother. I want you to understand the impact that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about money that's enough to buy you $30 of groceries a week. I'm talking about enough money to actually make change in your life. But we all have a thermostat. We all have a thermostat, and that thermostat lets us know where we're comfortable. And the problem is, is in my opinion, in this society, is we've become comfortable in survival mode. We've become comfortable in living above our means and then stressing out about it. We've become comfortable not making enough money, but convincing ourselves that we still need to make memories. We've become comfortable in the fact that if it gets hard, we're just going to go lay down and take a nap. We've become comfortable in the fact of this is just the way it is. This is just the way it is. I can't tell you how many times I had to pull out my vision. Okay. I have all kinds of stuff that just sits on my desk. Like I'll show you. As I was building, I have all these little signs. Gratitude creates happiness. Gratitude. A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. I expand in abundance and success and love every day as I inspire around those around me to do the same. I reminded myself who I was in the future every day in the present. I had 4 kids under the age of 6. I was widowed and I was a single mom walking my mom through pancreatic cancer. I made zero excuses because I realized that was a first world luxury. I realized that nobody was going to come knock on my door and save me from survival mode. That nobody cared that I was tore up, that my kids were now eating cereal from a box and frozen pizzas. Nobody cared. Okay. People from afar could comment, "We're praying for you, girl. You got this." But truly, when it came down to it, no one was paying my bills. No one cared that I had to auction my farm off for half the cost that it was worth because I couldn't afford to stay there. Nobody cares. Nobody cares as much as you care. And so, what I realized is what I had in my hands is hope. It's hope to tell you, and this message maybe not for every single person. You may be like, this is too intense for me. And I want you to know that's okay. But for the person who truly wants to make change, for the person who truly doesn't want to live paycheck to paycheck, for the person who truly wants the time back for their family, the time back to say yes to trying different things, to saying yes to having life changing income come in, then this is one heck of an opportunity for you that is sitting here in your lap, that is sitting here saying, oh my gosh, if I can do it, if she can do it, I can do it. So, what gave me the superpower to get out there and start sharing is I stopped telling myself I couldn't. I stopped saying these things to myself. See if this is familiar. I just don't think like that. I'm not a business person. I don't have those kinds of ideas. I don't even know who I would talk to. I've already ran out of people and I just started. I can't imagine who's going to come along and build this with me. I can't find anybody. What if it doesn't work? I don't want to post. What if so and so thinks that I'm a loser? What if so and so thinks my husband isn't providing for us? What if so and so thinks it's not a Christian way to live? What if so and so thinks it's of the devil? What if so and so thinks it's unhealthy? And guess what I started doing? Critically thinking. I started thinking about, well, who is so and so? Who is they might? And I really started to speak to myself as though it were. I started to speak to myself as a champion instead of a loser. I started to speak to myself like a powerful woman instead of like a small town housewife that didn't deserve any better than what I had. Come on. I started to talk to myself like I can have it all. I can be a great mom, a great wife, and a great business owner. And I can make really good money doing all of it at the same time. I started speaking as though it was. I started speaking to that small, small voice. It started out so small, it'd be like when I'd say, I'm gonna do this. It'd be like, are you sure? And then I'd make a post, and then I'd make this, and then I'd make that. Are you sure? And then it went from I'm not just hopping on calls, I'm going to be taking action. And then it went to I'm going to do anything that these successful people tell me they're doing. I'm going to do it all. And I'm going to do it all in the same day. Like, you cannot slow me down. You cannot stop me. And I started to focus in on what that looked like for me. And so today, I want to share this part. I live in my dream 10,000 square foot home. I have a freezer full of grass fed, non GMO meat that I did not have to raise. I have raw milk in my fridge that I did not have to milk the cow. I am supporting local farms around me. I have a local farm flower girl that I buy flowers from now. Alicia inspired me with that. I have a private swim teacher come and teach my little kids how to swim. My 4-year-old can outswim almost all the kids that come to our pool who are 12 and 13 years old. My 2-year-old baby can jump in and swim the entirety of the pool. Didn't even know that was possible with my first 4 kids. Didn't even know that it was a literal thing. Like, we love throwing Dolly in the pool and like freaking people out because they're like, watch this. And people are like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. You don't even realize what you can do or what your kids can do until you're out of survival mode. You don't even have the opportunity to think at a higher level because you're so stressed out. And then we convince ourselves that we're doing everything we can and I don't have any more time left. And that's not true. It's not true. So here are some practical things that I did. I did get up earlier. I did stay up later. This does take work, but it's not that much work that you can't fit it in. This morning, I literally got up at 4:55 a.m., no alarm set. I got up early because I'm so passionate. Like, I think about this stuff all the time because I created my identity to be that way. I'm so driven by it and I want to help so many people. If you're a level 1 on here and you got a message from me this morning, and I know a lot of you aren't on here this morning, but you probably got a message from me this morning, drop a 1 in the comments. If you got a message from me personally this morning, sending you a podcast, sending you that I think you can do it, sending you something, reminding you, hey, let's go. We got this. We can do this. I sent about 40 messages this morning because I genuinely believe in what I'm doing. And so I want you to think about what your vision is, because that will hold you through the storms of life. That will hold you through wanting to, like, oh, I don't need to do it. Oh, I won't do it. I listened to a great podcast this morning and she said it's people hanging on to their vision. That's success. People hanging on to their vision and they don't let it go. And it doesn't become a side thought or a side hustle. It's everything to them. And I want you to think about that because I think there's different levels to this. I think that I did not join that way. Okay. So don't freak out if you're new and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't go all in. Totally normal. I didn't either. But hearing stories like this where somebody did go all in and how much it changed their life was vital for me because I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know it existed. And so I want you to remember that you're literally rubbing shoulders with somebody who was a business that was born out of survival mode, that has turned into thriving mode, that has turned into drug dealer thriving mode, money. Okay. I'm not a drug dealer, but I like the money of it. And I'm so grateful because it's allowed us other opportunities to say yes when I wouldn't have otherwise. So as you go about your day to day, I want to challenge you to do something. I want you to go into ChatGPT and I want you to write down, and don't go today without doing it. Step number 1, stop procrastinating. Step number 1 to being successful, do not procrastinate. Go into ChatGPT and put in who you want to be in 5 years and tell it to write you a story. And then read that story every day because it will make you emotional. It will make you feel like, okay, this person does exist. Who is Nicole in 5 years from now? Where is Alicia 5 years from now? Where is Lisa 5 years from now? Where's Stephanie 5 years from now? Where's Julie 5 years from now? Is it the same story that you've been living? Or is it something different? And I want you to start speaking to yourself as though you're the you in 5 years who's living the dream life you want. You will find yourself stopping making excuses. You will find yourself speeding up on taking action, and you will find yourself really believing that you can. When you start speaking to yourself that way, you start to see change. The biggest thing I see for people is they doubt themselves so much. They doubt themselves so much. And I'm just here to remind you that you're absolutely capable, that you're absolutely able, and that the only thing stopping you is right up here in between your own ears. Truly. So start speaking to yourself as though you are who you want to be and get clear on who you want to be and get clear on where you're going. And don't slow yourself down. Make that vision, get it clear. Get it clear with your spouse, get it clear with your team, get it clear on where you're going and why. And then you start sharing that with people, it'll start overflowing. It'll start overflowing. I have watched this time and time and time again. People start speaking to themselves as though they're winning, and people will not know the difference. They're going to join your team and they'll be like, I thought you were already diamond. The way you were talking, I thought you were already doing the, it's like, yeah, that's where my belief level is. That's where we're going. That's where I'm taking you. Let's roll. You don't need anybody else to tell you that you can do this. You just need yourself to remind you who you are and where you're going. That is the only true motivator that will stick with you all the way to the top. So I'm going to challenge you with that, and let's go. It's Monday. Let's do the things. Mwah. Ciao.